for health care based on a developed broadband network. Greek doctors and patients need this broadband web, and they need it now. The e-health story is quite evident. We can add to this the e-government services. It is not enough that the main offices are wired up to the internet. If we want the benefits of low cost and efficient services, the access to e-government must be available to every citizen, including the less well-off, the less able, and those living in remote areas. All our citizens and companies should be able to access government information and services at any time, anywhere. And this is another reason why Greeks need broadband connections available to all. Let me give you another example: emergency services. Public safety and emergency services are under increasing pressure from population aging, hypermobility, rising crime, and other security concerns, terrorist attacks, but also environmental challenges. And this is a very critical area where high-speed communication counts. Yet, the technical architecture of most existing emergency access systems were designed more than 20 years ago. The communication systems are very often out of date, often based on analog equipment, and they are fragmented into a patchwork of different subsystems, often not communicating the one with each other. And there is no harmonized radio spectrum for emergency communication purposes of the EU. And interoperability systems are very, very heavy indeed. This means lower efficiency, slower emergency responses, especially in large-scale cross-border disasters when international coordination is required. Now, the key to emergency responses is swift, accurate, timely information. Authorities and field teams must know what has happened, who is responding and how, and what are the next moves that should be done. Complex emergencies require access to and sharing of large amounts of information between public authorities and operating teams, as well as a rapid access to specific expertise. We have to remove technical barriers to access information and services, but that is not all. We also need affordable and secure high bandwidth communication, both fixed and mobile, terrestrial and by satellite. When a major disaster occurs, the required information, be it medical records, details of dangerous substances, or maps and pictures, must first be made available and then distributed. Yet today, our first on-scene response teams only have access to drip-by-drip narrowband communication. Is this good enough when broadband for all is within grasp? Should we accept the existence of a digital divide in the safety of the Europeans? No. Greece's safety services need broadband access, and they need it now. Now, what can we do to make things move? I believe that policy actions can make the difference. The Greek digital strategy has set concrete targets: population coverage to reach 90% of population by 2008, cover 60% of the land surface. These targets are backed up by substantial budget commitments: 210 million until 2013, 50% of which is coming from the European Community budget, and of which 160 million will be put into new local access infrastructure and 50 million for demand stimulation. 2 weeks ago in Brussels, we had a big conference on bridging the broadband gap, and the Greek Broadband Action Plan was presented with its aim to implement metropolitan area networks in 75 municipalities, wireless broadband in 120 towns and communities, 770 wireless hotspots, and the use of broadband satellite. All this is supported by fiscal incentives for broadband rollout and services. Now, Greece has taken a commitment to arrive to the EU average over the next 2 years. Those are very substantial ambitions. And, Friend Minister, I applaud the government's aims and actions. But there are some further policy steps that are crucial to make sure that Greece not only catches up, but that it moves itself to the forefront of the broadband innovation. Remember, while you are speaking here to catch up from the latest place to a little higher, all the others are moving also. The headline penetration rates that we cite today are based on a very basic concept of broadband, anything around 144 kilobit per second. But broadband services today need not just to be always on, but capable of 2 megabits to support basic Web 2.0 and IPTV type services. Now, in rural areas in Europe as a whole, the most common speed is 512 kilobit per second, as compared to the 144 kilobit per second you are speaking about now. And I tell you that before 2010, that is very quickly, the minimal accepted speed in Europe is going to be around 20 megabits in both directions. And this will be driven by demands for full-length video services, high-definition images, interactive environments. People will not accept latency, that is to say services that are slow to response. So Greece not only needs broadband today, it needs also a dynamic, competitive environment to deliver tomorrow's broadband. Government subsidies can trigger the evolution, but they cannot deliver a long-term solution. This, ladies and gentlemen, needs market-led response. And that is why it is so important that Greece has a regulatory approach that stimulates innovation, competition, investment on a sustainable basis. All our experiences confirm that countries which apply the regulatory framework correctly and effectively are leading the broadband take-up. I therefore welcome the Greek market progress as a result of the transposition of the regulatory framework, Mr. President. The 80% price reductions in broadband services and the 600,000 new broadband lines that have been installed, the 250% increase in unbundled local loops since the beginning of the year are a good step in the right direction. It is good progress, but the high rate of progress is not astonishing. I mean, if you start very low in the beginning, the progress is very quick. And it is not necessary to remind that Greece is still significantly behind. So the pressure, ladies and gentlemen, the pressure has to be kept up to achieve the target parity by 2009. I am happy to see further initiatives from the Greek regulators. A very fast analysis and imposition of remedies on 17 markets, publications of the reference unbundling offer, information campaigns such as the Week of Broadband to raise public awareness of broadband, and a proactive approach to the licensing of wireless broadband. I know there have been complaints about the rush of work, but if you start late, you have to be quick in order to catch up. And in the Greek marketplace, I am very supportive of the work of Mr. Alexandridis and his team. However, I am still worried that the Council of State has not made one single decision since 2001. one of the leading questions unresolved in Greece is how to streamline, how to modernize these procedures for the high-pace, high-tech economy. We are speaking about delays of years and years. Do you know how quick one internet year is? One internet year is 3 months. Huh? And here you have not taken decisions since 2001. You have to fall back. So, and these delays and doubts create also the legal uncertainty, which your business community does not need.